SCP-3837 Corn Goblin. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3837 is to be kept in a standard humanoid containment chamber at Site-42. No food containing corn is to be brought within SCP-3837's view. All inquiries from SCP-3837 regarding whether one has consumed corn are to be either denied or ignored. SCP-3837's file is currently under the jurisdiction of Site-322's Integration Program. See Addenda for details. Description: SCP-3837 is an ear of corn partially covered with husk. It has thin makeshift arms and legs composed of 0.6mm thick stalks, and it stands 0.2 meters tall. Its arms terminate in 4 digits, one of which is an opposable thumb. It has a tuft of corn silk coming from its top and covering the top left section of its front. SCP-3837 is sapient, sentient, and capable of sensory perception and vocalization, despite lacking the necessary organs to do so. SCP-3837 self-identifies as Cornelius the Great, Slayer of Goats. Along with this, SCP-3837 incorporates a medieval and Shakespearean speaking pattern into its diction. SCP-3837 is incredibly hostile towards goats, and will become irate at any and all mentions of the animal. This attitude will deteriorate when SCP-3837 is presented with any materials depicting or resembling goats. When this occurs, SCP-3837 will instead display symptoms similar to those with post-traumatic stress disorder, including panic attacks, anxiety, and emotional stress. SCP-3837 was discovered on May 12, 2020, at a farm in Danville, Kentucky, lurking around the perimeter of a fence wielding a spoon. The owner of the property contacted authorities, and MTF Iota-10, damn feds, was able to apprehend SCP-3837 with no incident. Standard veal retention protocol was performed following the recovery. Addendum 3837-1 Intake Interview Log. Date of interview: May 13th, 2020. Interviewed: SCP-3837. Interviewer: Dr. Pattinson. Begin log. Dr. Pattinson. Good evening, my name is Dr. Pattinson. You're currently in a secure facility for your safe, SCP-3837. Have you consumed my brethren? What, like other ears of corn? Do you mean others like you, or just corn in general? That was not a no. SCP-3837 proceeds to hop off its chair and run to Dr. Pattinson's leg. SCP-3837 then begins to pound Dr. Pattinson's foot. Dr. Pattinson was unharmed. Alright, calm down, I don't eat corn. You're a man of honor and reverence. SCP-3837 kneels, then stands and returns to its seat. You may call me Cornelius. How may I serve you? Well then, Cornelius. During a search of the farm we found you at, we found several scrolls detailing attack plans on a group known as Those That Don't Deserve a Name. Is this another cornfield on a different farm, or something else? Goats. Immortal enemies. What loathsome creatures they are. Such demons. They impart on your land, pillaging and destroying as they see fit. I hate them. Hate is a strong word. I've tried to get it out of my vocabulary. I do hate them. My community, my family was ravaged by them. From kernel to ear, we were utterly devastated. It was a sneak attack. Father Elliot had been dealing with those brutes for years at that point. They would come into his land with their many teeth and devour the grass and my ancestors. There were too many of them that night. Father couldn't scare them off, and even I, the great Cornelius, was no use. It was an ambush. There were thousands of them, chomping and chewing with their cold yellow eyes. In the end, I was the only survivor. Ah, now that makes sense. Sorry you had to go through that. I do not need your pity. The only creatures I will be sorry for are the beasts that face my wrath. I took a pledge to destroy every goat I come in contact with from that day forward. My wrath will be unchallenged. My power, more powerful than any power I've ever seen before. SCP-3837 starts to scream as the kernels on its top start to pop and replenish almost instantaneously. causing popcorn to fly from SCP-3837, covering the interrogation room. I think that's a good place to stop for today. End log. Following the interview, an investigation of the area near the farm SCP-3837 was recovered from led to the identification of person of interest 7383, Elliot Pines, who was then brought in for questioning. Addendum 3837-2 Test log. The following was conducted to observe SCP-3837's reaction to a goat. While there was worry alongside staff that SCP-3837 would harm the goat, Dr. Pattinson's experience with SCP-3837 determined that it was virtually harmless. Date of experiment, October 12, 2020. Begin log. Pre-briefing. Dr. Pattinson. We're gonna give you access to a goat. It will be controlled in case anything goes wrong. Does that sound alright? SCP-3837. Your worry should not be with me, but with the beast you allow me to unleash my vengeance upon. It will be slaughtered like my family was slaughtered. It will be butchered like my family was butchered. It will be flayed, okay? There are a few hundred other synonyms. I get the point. Your honor and reverence is unmatched. No other man would allow me this opportunity. I do this in your name, son of Patton. Testing. SCP-3837. Where are ye hiding? Come out of here and face the wrath of I, the great Cornelius. A goat fitted with the muzzle is released into SCP-3837's chamber. Oh, great lord. SCP-3837 begins slowly backing away from the goat. The goat sniffs the concrete floor. Goat. Ah! It's calling for its brethren! Save me! I've been clearly outmatched! SCP-3837 backs itself into a corner and attempts to climb up the testing chamber walls. Bah! Get out of me head! Dr. Pattinson retrieves the goat. Test terminated. Debriefing. Dr. Pattinson. What happened out there? SCP-3837. I will consider that battle a draw, for this time, and this time only. I did not expect the creature to use its magic to invoke fright in me. It shan't happen again. End log. Following the experiment, SCP-3837 was seen sulking in its chamber. This behavior continued for approximately 7 days. Addendum 3837-3 Integration Program Directive. Case File SCP-3837. Under the directive of the Integration Program, work with SCP-3837 will be pursued in an attempt to remedy its PTSD from it and its species experience with livestock, specifically goats. Since SCP-3837 has already been exposed to a goat, there may be complications. That being said, site staff are hopeful that this will achieve its goal. The timetable will be as follows. Exposure item: photograph of a goat, October 20th, 2020. Goat fur, November 20th, 2020. Goat animatronic, December 20th, 2020. Live goat, January 20th, 2021. Test: photograph of a goat. On the first day of exposure, SCP-3837 immediately recoiled from the photograph and refused to look at it. SCP-3837 claimed it had shut its eyes, despite lacking the features. Over the course of the next month, SCP-3837 was able to look at the photograph for extended periods of time, describe it, and eventually allowed for it to remain in its containment chamber. Excerpt. SCP-3837. I shall keep this at my side, as a reminder of the beast that will destroy. Test: goat fur. Researchers noted an immediate change in behavior from the last test. As mentioned, SCP-3837 refused to look at this picture. In this case, it was curious about the item and only showed mild discomfort when handling it. At the end of the tests, SCP-3837 commented on the first texture, finding it comfortable. Excerpt. SCP-3837. It seems that the creature's malice does not seep into its fur. A pure diversion. Test: goat animatronic. A mild change in behavior occurred on the first day of testing. SCP-3837 was initially frightened by the animatronic, a miniature robot replica of an adult goat. It immediately upon sight of the goat ran to the corner of its chamber. It remained there for the entirety of the first day, resulting in no substantial advancement. At the end of the testing cycle, SCP-3037 became somewhat accustomed to the animatronic's presence, attempting to pet the robot multiple times per day, and sleeping with the animatronic in its chamber. Excerpt: SCP-3837. Proper training for my second battle. I am thankful for this opportunity. While the excerpts displayed here do not show the improvement described, it is known that SCP-3837's warrior facade is artificial. These tests show a remarkable change in behavior. The final test will take place on the allotted date. Addendum: 3837-4, Person of Interest 7383. Interview log. When nearing the end of the GOAT animatronic testing period, Person of Interest 7383 is brought in and questioned in order to learn how best to go about live GOAT exposure testing. Date of interview: January 18th, 2021. Interviewed: Person of Interest 7383. Interviewer: Dr. Pattinson. Begin log. Dr. Pattinson: Hi, Mr. Pines. My name is Dr. Pattinson. Thanks for joining us. Person of Interest 7383. It's not like I had a choice in the matter. You can call me Elliot, by the way. Well then, Elliot, I have a few questions surrounding the corn grown on your farm. You're gonna ask me why they were alive and roaming. Been there and done that, my friend. Used to get hundreds of questions about it. Never got tired of answering it, though. I miss them a bit, though. It was good to have someone to talk to you when you're out pulling weeds or shucking corn. My wife never got into the whole farm life thing. Stuck to, teaching? Are all the ears gone? The living ones, that is. Yeah. 3 or 4 of my goats got loose and managed to eat the bunch. It was a real fox in the henhouse deal. They meant no harm, but I do feel bad about it. Weighs heavy on my conscience. How did they animate? Did you have a hand in that? Nope. Couldn't really help you there, I'm afraid. I like to tell people I wished upon a star like the Pinocchio movie. It was really that, though. I just woke up one day, saw them, scared the absolute soul out of me, but eventually, they grew on me. I might actually have some good news. We're in possession of one of your ears. Does the great Cornelius ring any bells? Wait, really? That is so good to hear. But I didn't have any cobs by that name. You know, that must be little Tom. He always did quite exaggerate. I'm sure with the whole new group to impress, he told a few tall tales to you. That definitely sounds like our SCP-3037. It's recently sworn total vengeance on all goats over the incident. It's all my fault. I really should have kept a better eye on those goats. My lord, he's better than that. I made him this way. He's no killer. That's not who he is in his heart. To be fair, he definitely isn't a killer. We've shown him a goat and he was terrified. That being said, he's shown great development in our program. That's even worse. He's always loved animals, the cows especially. Something about their size in comparison really wowed him. He used to ride them around sometimes. Like I said, we're working on helping him, and he's doing really well. Right now, we're trying out this robot our cybernetics department developed. Now that I mention it, you still have those goats, right? Yep. One of them, Bethany, gave birth 2 days ago. Even better. End log. Addendum 3837-5. Final exposure test. Person of Interest 7383 was brought into SCP-3837's chamber along with the aforementioned baby goat. Date of experiment: November 13th, 2020. Begin log. Dr. Pattinson. Good evening, Tom. SCP-3837. Hawk! How dare you call me by that name? If you're not a man of great wisdom and pride, I'd cut you in twain. Only one man knows me by that name. My father. Funny you should mention, because Person of Interest 7383 then enters the room. Person of Interest 7383. Hi, Tom. SCP-3837. Father, I thought I'd never see you again. What was all that with the accident earlier? What are you, Shakespeare? It's for a bit of flair, you know. No, I don't know. I've heard of your quest and your hatred for goats. Did I ever teach you violence? No, this was an extenuating circumstance. Well, I also heard you're working through it. You know that hate is a strong word, right? Yes, he's told me enough times. It was once. Also, you said you respected me. I did, you're just a bit pushy is all. Can I say how proud I am of your progress? Mr. Pattinson. Dr. Pattinson pulls Person of Interest 7383 aside to the other side of the containment chamber. It's not a big deal, but I've actually got a doctorate. Okay. Just earlier you said Mr. Pattinson, but I've got a doctorate in agricultural, so it's doctor, not Mr. Well, okay, sorry. Dr. Pattinson and Person of Interest 7383 return to SCP-3837. Dr. Pattinson here showed me some reports, and it's amazing how fast you're improving. My so-called hatred has turned into only a minor disliking of goats. Well, I guess that's an improvement. I hope my friend could be of help too. I'm gonna step out and we'll send her in. Alright, I hope I can see you again. I hope so too. The kid is released into the testing chamber. SCP-3837 does not move. SCP-3837. Hello, creature. The goat bites at the peeling paint of the containment chamber's wall. Ooh, there's teeth. The robot didn't have teeth. The goat makes its way over to SCP-3837's bed. It lies down and shuts its eyes. What? Is this a trap? Dr. Pattinson, over the intercom. I believe it's sleeping, Tom. It doesn't want to eat me? Nope. I think it trusts you. It fell asleep right next to you. SCP-3037 approaches the sleeping child. It hovers its hand above it. Warm. SCP-3037 begins to slowly and shakily pet the baby goat. That's not so bad. The goat snorts. SCP-3037 continues to caress and inspect the sleeping animal for approximately 7 minutes. Maybe you're not all bad. End log. Following the test, weekly visits between SCP-3837, Person of Interest 7383, and now the GOAT, now designated Goat of Interest 7837, have been scheduled. As part of this procedure, Goat of Interest 3837 is to be kept well fed and supervised during all interactions with SCP-3837. Thank you for listening to SCP-3837. If you enjoyed this SCP, please follow the link in the description to the SCP Wiki, and vote up the article to support it and the SCP Wiki as a whole.